What's up again, my friends? Welcome to Carpo's YouTube channel. And in this video, I'm sitting in the driver's seat of the bus because it's the only place I have a charger cord for this phone, which is the only phone I have to record my videos, which my camera broke, and I'm not going to sit and cry you a river about it. I guess I could go out and buy one if I really wanted one. I'm just kind of a cheapskate, because I'm living in a society that tells me to save my money and be as careful as I can because anything might happen around the corner. And I've got kids, and all of these things culminate in kind of the subject of this video, I guess, which is just, can't even really think of a title. You know, it's life comes and goes fast. In fact, just before I started this video, I saw this little canny sitting up there. That's what we call our weed containers. But on the side it says AMS Herms 315, and whoops, get that later. The AMS is a strain of an anti-mold type strain of cannabis that is preferable in the Northwest here, that has a very short budding season. And 315 was about 3.5 years ago when I was growing it, and I had the seeds in that container, and I just thought of what a wild experience of how fast time goes by. You know, it just seems like just yesterday. And you can't, when you hear people say that, oh, how fast time goes, you know, it just becomes this like repeating mantra of life. Oh, yep, the years go by, the years go by. So we all hear it, we all know it, but until you really experience it, it's difficult to gauge exactly how fast time really does go by. And it is subjective to the individual. But anyhow, all the bullshit aside, it's a very interesting experience being human. That is such a vague thing to say, I know, but the expectations that society puts on us, and I guess that's not really fair, because when I really analyze, that's my own perception of it, but it's also my programming. You know, like, why should I care what other people demand of me or need of me? And so when I was younger, I went on this kind of a tirade in my mind about, you know, hey, I'm a free spirit, I'm a free soul, I'm a free entity. I wasn't born as a slave to this government and this society, and I have the right to do what I want, and damn it if I'm held back by all society's bullshit. And then I got older, a little bit wiser maybe, and started to realize that it wasn't just a few humans imposing their technology on us, or, you know, a few people making all the money while everyone else is a slave, but rather an unspoken agreement among people that this life is pretty messed up. There's a lot of ups and downs. How do we work together to make it a little bit better for all of us? And in that process, a lot gets lost. I mean, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. I'm not going to deny this system is a failure, but it's also something that we've all created and we are all responsible for. You know, every student who takes out a loan to go to college, you know, every you know, couple that fills up their credit card to go on a vacation that they can't afford because they deserve it. These types of things where we live beyond our means in this credit-based system that we're in right now. It's going to fall apart. It just will. I mean, these back and forth nonsense about tariffs and trade, and none of this means anything in the end. Debts to nations, that the whole big picture of it. What it really comes down to is there enough food for the people? What are we doing with the food that we do have? Because once you're fed, the rest of it kind of comes naturally. The technology is... Yeah, I was having this conversation, and I guess I haven't really thought of how to define it, but when I was a kid, you know, I had different views as I do today, of course, and I'm sure that I'll change my views as I get older too. But it's hard to gauge exactly how you're going to feel down the road, so you think what you think at the time you think it. And I was discussing this with somebody who's older than me, saying that they said that the system needs to just start over. I'm saying that that's just an impossibility, that there's no such thing as starting over. Or rather, the idea that we need to go back to Earth or to the old ways. And that brought me back to my thoughts like 20 years ago. Exactly, that was the exact mentality I have, is we need to go back to living within the means of the earth. And then I started saying, well, what does that really mean? I mean, let's just say there was an apocalypse today, and, 6.5 out of 7 billion people died, or even more. Maybe a couple million people were left to repopulate the earth. Do you think they're going to go back to living in teepees and skinning animals? Well, when necessary, sure, but it'd be much easier to start up a small facility, read a book, and do a little bit of homework and figure out how to make polypropylene or some type of material that is more durable, something that's more, maybe a bad analysis, because in truth I find that natural substances are far superior for cold, but like natural fleece and down comforters, that kind of thing. So there is some wisdom to nature, but my point being that the technology is still there. We don't have to go back to sticks and stones and hand saws. We have machinery now. We went through the Industrial Revolution, and it's doubtful that as long as people exist, that will ever be lost. There may be sections of it lost, but it'll be, if we can endure, then we will find those, the evidence of those things. So anyhow, that was just my ramble. I just wanted to just kind of make a short video, relatively short, talking about that aspect of not fitting in a society, but at the same time needing to be part of it, because we are all part of it. Some of the people that complain the most about it are the ones who are the most dependent upon it, if you will. Some of the people that I've heard complain the loudest about the way things are often the ones that benefit from it, sometimes the most, and don't even realize it. Not always, but there's a lot of freedom that can be had with not being wrapped up in everyone else's expectations. But if you step too far out of the norm, you're unable to make a living, you're unable to pay your bills, and that makes it difficult for someone who, like me, who just really despises the system that I live within. But I don't know. Thoughts? Give me your thoughts on this whole thing. I guess what I'm really trying to consolidate and get to is the bottom of, how much of society should we just accept as humans working as a group, and how much of it should we not accept, knowing that it's a small group of people imposing that on us, if that makes sense. In other words, a few rich, greedy men didn't create the whole system we live in. They just exploit it. Just like greedy rich men didn't create the militaries. We had to have them to defend ourselves, but rich people exploit it. It's just like religion wasn't created necessarily just to control people. It was to give people hope, but people exploit it and cause fear. And so anything that has massive appeal to people can be exploited by those with ill intent, if you will. So I guess that's kind of where I'm coming from there, is how many bad guys are there really, and how bad are they? And is it even worth our time to worry about these grand conspiracies and, what's going on with the rest of the world? Or should we just live in our little box and do the best we can in our own corner? As usual, it's somewhere in the middle. So, peace. Talk to y'all later.